Welcome to The Fans Have Spoken. I'm here with Dennie, Robbie, and Kevin. We're here to talk about episode 2's Castaway that was evicted, Dr. Death, Mr. Voss. His torch was snuffed out tonight, but we're going to talk about what he did well, what he could have done better, and why we love him as a player. How are you guys feeling tonight?
First off, you said Voss, isn't it Voce?
It's Voce, baby.
I keep fucking up his last name.
Should be Vasa from Yasa. Can we start calling him that? Vasa from Yasa.
That's why I just call him Dr. Death, because it's easy and I will not forget it. Nicknames have always worked for me better. Everyone, I don't remember half the people I played sports with. I don't know their names. I just remember the nickname that I call them.
Yeah, it's like Eric from our first episode of this last time, Eric. Abraham. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So what do you guys think of that episode? It was exciting. I know some of us had some takes that we thought some scenarios might that play out a certain way. Robbie, I think, might have hit on a couple of them, and he might have been right.
Frank, sometimes I watch the episode, and it feels like butterflies are like my dead relatives.
Broccoli's just little trees, bro.
I loved that part. Just the way he said it, and everyone was looking at him like he was nuts.
if you had to say that, then he led into it. He was like, man, I'm so tired. I woke up today and I felt like freaking butterflies were dead relatives.
Like my dead relatives.
And I'm like, and then the edit was perfect where
it was so good.
I highly doubt there was a pause as long as what we saw, but they were just like, show everybody.
I feel like there was. I would have been, if I'm there, I'm like, yeah, butterflies.
Like, okay then.
Yeah.
I would have laughed just like Danny did. I mean, he couldn't help but giggle. I would have been the same way, but I would have been looking at him like weirdo.
Yeah, where do you find the pot on the island? Because you're pretty delirious if you're talking to butterflies. I do think I looked at my wife and I was like, he did really well for having to say that. Like, yeah. I think he pulled it off.
That's all I'm saying. But you know what's funny is this season is about revamping the game, a rebirth. Drop the 4, keep the 1 type deal. And if it would have been something like, okay, when you get there and everybody's waiting for the challenge to start, you need to get into the water for a second and hop back up. And if people from the other tribes do like something so obvious that used to be, or check under this table during the challenge, everybody would have known. But saying something batshit crazy like that, like dude, nobody's thinking that's a freaking idol.
So
there's no way. There's no way they can use this again. There's no way they can use this again. Because the fact that Liana and Evie Evie already knew, obviously, but Liana clocked the phrase, and it's so off the wall, right? This one, the one about the broccoli being little trees. What's the third one?
In my notes.
I don't even remember.
It's something just as like a goat, insane.
Like a goat on
AstroTurf. I feel like a goat on AstroTurf. Like, those 3 phrases are so off the wall that if I'm ever playing Survivor, which I never would, but if I'm ever playing Survivor and someone's like, man, did you know that pastel is the best color for a car? I'm like, bro, this dude has an idle clue. This dude has an idle clue.
Guilty.
Yeah, exactly. Immediately.
Yeah, and on top of that, this is, if you're going to use it, you can only use this kind of thing once. But on top of that, it has to be used early in the season where the other tribes don't know. Do you have a coach, wannabe? Do you have somebody on here who just wants to drop crazy anecdotes that are from, some book they read on the way to play? So when they hear this, half of them are probably saying, okay, this guy just wants a quote. He just wants the airtime, wants a screen time. He's probably just being a goof to get on the, make the edit. But no, it was a bit too cheesy, I think. I loved it and hated it equally.
Well, I loved it. Oh, you loved it? You loved it, did he?
I loved it. And I want to see how it plays into the upcoming episodes. Like, if the other clues are found on the other tribes, I was reading a bit on social media today, like how people think that's going to play out. And they said the other tribe would have to say it first So then he'd have to spit that same line again. So I don't know. Then I would be thinking,
Does he have to say it every time?
Again.
Does he have to say it every time?
I don't think he has to say it every time. I think it has to be said. I think what I would do if I was him, I'd wait. You got to wait until someone else signals that they do it and hope that the third person has. It's going to be real messy. You're going to have to say it multiple times.
Yeah.
Would you guys even touch that? If you walk up to something in the woods, you find it and it says, beware. Are you guys picking it up?
Not?
You guys
100%.
How can you not?
How
can you not?
I'm personally
I'm not.
No,
I'm not.
I'm not messing with it because
100%. I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm gonna put it back in the tree. I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna go grab Robbie and I'll be like, let's go look for shit. And we're gonna walk over that tree and Robbie's gonna find it. Since Robbie's in my alliance, I'm okay if he takes that risk. That's how I'm playing it.
That's fair, but that'd be no different than an idol. Or I get there's a risk associated to you don't know it, but I wish we saw more plays like that with other advantages where you could plant the actual advantage in someone's bag just to learn what they look like when they're lying to you. Do you know what I mean? Like give them the clue, give them the actual thing. Maybe in a perfect world, you already found it. And now you just want to see what they look like. So give them a clue afterwards, make it look like it's theirs, whatever, like a legacy. It's just fake.
Okay. I see you now. So like I have found the idol. The idol is in my possession. It is mine. And then I said, hey, I have this clue. Guess, hey, Robbie, I found this clue. What do you think?
Or just put it in my bag, right? Because here's the thing. How often do we see somebody gets voted out and then there's some twist where they have to will something away or they have to choose a player to get an advantage of some sort? It would just throw turmoil into it where it's like, whoa, I woke up this morning. How many confessionals do we see like that? I woke up this morning and there's something in the bottom of my bag. It was this. Congratulations. You found a clue to and they'd be all jacked up looking for it. And then you walk up to them like, hey man, what's going on? And it's like, oh, nothing. It's like, oh, well, now I know we're not working together because you got a fucking clue and you're not telling me about it. So I don't know. That's like
I found an idol clue. Gameplay. If I have found an idol clue. Wait, did you just compare your gameplay idea to like Shan, who's like a superstar, and you had this like random idea?
No, I'm just saying, like planting clues and then walking around and trying to screw with people. I could see Shan doing something like that.
I mean, anyway. So my thoughts.
I wouldn't touch it. There. I would have put that shit right back. There's no way, because I trust in my gameplay enough that I don't need that shit anyway. And then to not have a vote.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you didn't know. You didn't know that though going in, right? You picked it up.
No, you didn't know it, but you knew it was a big risk.
Another question I have is, how does that if they merge and one of those beaches are gone now, and he still hasn't got that idol, does he just go this whole game without a vote?
So it said that at merge. I paused it, and then I read the thing. It said that at merge, if he does not find the other two people, then his idol is dead and he gets his vote back.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Fair trade.
Yeah. I mean, then you gotta survive like what, 9 8 or 9 tribals.
Do you guys think we will see a swap? Because he's screwed in a swap, I would think completely. I don't think that mechanic can even work with a swap, can it?
Unless there's a swap and he goes and finds it himself, the second piece. And then now he's like, I feel like a goat on AstroTurf, especially when butterflies are related to my dead relatives. And then someone else is like, broccoli, oddly enough, is trees.
Yeah.
And they're like, these guys are off their rocker, bro. Like, they need rice.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect if Brad was one of the people who found one of the others, because he just seems like he's a little off his rocker anyway.
Denny, you mind give me a second real quick? Frank, can you explain your boy Brad for me?
Brad is a complicated man, and I don't think any of us are prepared to explain him. He's delivering with entertainment for sure. He goes from one bad move to dollar store version Tony Spy Shack out there.
Dollar store version Tony.
I don't know what he's thinking. He seems to really trust Pastor Chantel. She's got her hooks in him for sure, but she's feeding Ricard everything. So I think me and Robbie were agreeing on this last week that Ricard and Chantel closer than they seem.
No. Robbie told me that there was some master plan that that JD and what is it? Ricard, what's his name? Ricard. They had some master strategy.
That's his name, he says,
to get rid of Sarah, and that the three of them are secretly working together. When Ricard was like, "I'm trying to get JD to trust me," because he doesn't at this moment. That was Robbie's master plan. It's not the case.
And what did we see other than Shan and Ricard, who you said Ricard would be the next one that we see, for the record. I did say that. Talk about Ricard. Okay, fair is fair. And Ricard and Shan go to the water, and Shan says, we're each other's number one, right? Now, to be fair, Shan says that to just about everybody, so I'll discount that a little bit. Ricard agrees.
Once again, no genie tonight. No genie tonight, once again.
No genie tonight. Agreed. And you know what? But then she gives him real intel and tries to form an actual alliance.
Yes,
and then Ricard goes and gives a confessional saying that, he's, so I do think if you're fortunate enough to have a professor that gives part marks, I think I'm getting part marks for this, because I do think Shan and Ricard are going to come together, or have come together.
They are close. They are close. They are close.
Closer than it looked like in the first episode. I think it looked like they were kind of around each other in the first. Yeah. I don't think it showed how close they really were, but
I think Ricard had to go more all in with Shan, because I think he was the closest to Sarah, and then Sarah went home. So then it was like, what else? Ricard is a game player. Let's be real. Fair. So he had to do something, and Shan was someone that was working with him, and it's a good move. I agree, it's a good move. But I just want to talk more about B Rad, man. That was that was bad. That was B Rad. Yeah. And he's like, I'm going, and then Shan's like, okay.
Doing what
I would have sprinted and just been like, I gotta take a shit or something. I wouldn't have been like, I'm gonna go spy on them.
Yeah.
Well, not just that. Would you wait? Insane, because he waits waits moments after they walk away. Then he gets in the stance. Then he does this eye thing, and Shan's he's like, I'm going. I'm gonna go check on them, and then he runs, and he's like, they kept saying there's only 3 guys. Definitely talking about me. And it's they weren't even saying anything too crazy about him.
Turns out JD has an idol. They were talking about so JD must have an idol. That's what Brad got out of it.
Yeah, perfect read. And not only that, but he wasn't even. He's like, okay, I'm gonna look at the ground. Right, I'm gonna ground, so then that way I can hear them better, and they won't feel me watching.
Look at the ground and close his eyes. Also, he's gonna do both, because that way, I'm a hunter, and sometimes the prey can feel your gaze on them. So I'm gonna close my eyes and just listen.
What?
Brad. Super entertaining, though.
Stalker. That's what I was curious. Was he hunting or stalking someone?
Stalking. Okay. You're right. It was entertaining.
To be fair, though, guys. If that would have worked somehow, then it would have been an amazing move. Because you gotta give the guy a little bit of credit. Yeah, he's a bit of an awkward version of a Tony move, where he does it in front of someone, runs down the beach, but he made it there and made it back without being seen. And if they happened to find an idol digging around the well while he was there, and he saw something, how epic would that move have been if he would have actually had the info? But I think he was kind of a victim of, there was no climactic, big reveal. It was just kind of, they talked about stuff.
But it wasn't though without being seen though, right?
Exactly.
He does it right in front of Shan. And he tells her, I'm going to go do this. And Shan's like, all right, go check on my buddies, I guess. And they come back. He's like, they were talking. Right, because those are friends of mine. So I'll let them. Yeah, they're coming. I'll tell you later. And then I'm sure Shan's like, hey, she did it in the episode. Hey, Brad, just ran out of here. And like,
that comment? Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Just came creeping up casting one day while Brad was talking to you.
Dragon, I think that's what happened.
Closed.
And they're like, this is perfect.
Just taps him on the shoulder.
You
want to play Survivor?
All right, listen, we're 15 minutes in and we haven't really talked about Voce at all. I think we should maybe...
I know, I love this dude. So
listen,
the question
I can't believe.
The first question I have for Dr. Death, Voce, I said it right this time, is what was your guys' first impression of him, and did that change in the short time that we had him with us?
I'll say, like, what I saw before the season started, I was thinking, no way with this guy. Like, I just didn't think he was going to be good on the show. But in the very first episode, I really liked hearing, like, his strategy. He didn't want to, do the barrel filling thing. He just didn't want to be a part of that. He didn't want to be separated from his tribe. So I was like, all right, I think I read this guy wrong. He is super smart. And I think he has a good read on people. So I started rooting for him. Like ahead of time, I was like, no, I did Survivor drafts and stuff and I steered clear of him. But then in the first episode, I was like, all right, this guy, he can do something in this game.
Yeah, I was the same way when I first saw him. I was doing the cast assessment. And I was like, oh, he wants to play like Russell Hantz. So that was kind of a turnoff. And then I couldn't see his eyes in any of the pictures because he squints all the time. And I can't trust you if I can't see you. Look at you into the eyes. So I wasn't trusting him. I thought he was going to be way more aggressive. But he took a back seat. He didn't want to hold the driver. He didn't want to be in the driver's seat early in the game. He was waiting till later. Sadly, it didn't work out for him.
My biggest problem with Voce was that the only problem is that in this pregame press, I thought he was going to be coming in hot and he was going to be a problem.
Exactly. And
then he wasn't. And it well, not necessarily any fault of his own, right? Because they get rid of Abraham. Well, I mean, it is his fault because they got rid of Abraham, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Tiffany is so bad.
Please don't get me going.
Not like physically either.
It is, yeah. Okay, so Voce.
So with Tiffany being so bad, they decided that it was more important to keep her than Voce. And it's because him and Xander decided to go with the plan of getting rid of Abraham. And last week we talked all about how Evie would have been next, but I don't think that would have been the case. You saw how connected they were.
Yeah.
Right? And so that was never the issue. They should have just got rid of Tiffany in the first episode. They should have just did that.
Yeah, they took out a physical powerhouse. They were already weak. Like everyone I talked to before the season started, Yellow Tribe doesn't stand a chance. And then they take out Abraham. Well, now your chances are diminished even more so. And now look what they did. They're screwed. And I will love to see it because they're dumb.
No, and you know what, Frank, you asked, what did we expect and, versus what we got. And, I think you guys nailed it where the presser that, all the press material that we got beforehand, this big aggressive person that was going to come in here and be a huge personality. And I thought was going to get their asses kicked because, I thought he was going to be way too aggressive. And then it was the opposite where he was way too passive, as you guys are saying. But what I'm most upset about is I think we're losing a great narrator because we watch him. He understands the situation. He understands. When I say he understands, like what he thinks about, he's able to articulate extremely well. But the problem is he's very narrow on what he thinks about. There's a person I know who, when they play games similar to this online, if there's somebody they're not working with, they don't talk to them. Yeah, Frank, cough, Frank. And because they don't necessarily see the value in necessarily lying to somebody, just to lie or just to have people see you talking to them, or to have anybody start wondering, well, hey, what if, Voce's over there talking to Tiffany? What if they've got something going on and whatever? But the reality of the situation is he didn't talk to Tiffany. And this is pre-jury. There's no reason why he couldn't have found a reason to go over there and just make sure the vote wasn't going on him, find some sort of way to make a connection somehow.
Robbie, did you know in the challenge, there was no reason for him to think it was him. She was so bad. And we're going to have to keep going to tribal if she sticks around. Yes. So why would we even consider,
yes,
I'm actually most disappointed in Evie and Evie for keeping her around, because Tiffany is so bad at this thing. I am definitely a big proponent of women empowerment. I like when women do well in things, in life, in the world, right? But Tiffany is not very good at neither the physical part nor the strategic or social part of this game.
Yeah. No, but listen, Kevin, you're nailing it. Why would there be any question at all that Tiffany was going home? It was so obvious, which is why if I was Voce, I would say it is so obvious. There's no way in hell she's not using her die for a shot in the dark. Which means fair. I need to make sure that her one vote is on somebody else. And that's all I'm saying. Have some sort of chat to be like, hey, and there's an angle that maybe played out, maybe it didn't, but a lot of what we're seeing in this season is the empathetic, history in the past and how everybody in the season has somehow persevered in their personal life and how that's going to benefit them or has prepared them in some way to do well in the season. And you've got Voce, who is, a surgeon who has patients that I'm assuming are, some struggle to survive and some have stories that are very powerful. And you have somebody like Tiffany, who is an inspirational case of somebody who went through some pretty traumatic medical procedures to become a survivor or previvor. And that would have been an easy in if you were somebody who actually got to know this person, to have a connection, an empathetic level where you could say, if you were ever to have a chance to use that shot in the dark, Tiffany, and if you happened to cast a vote against someone randomly, just do it to someone else, and do that by building a relationship. And I think he took his position for granted and hit a bit too much, I think.
Here's the thing. You guys are saying it was obvious to him that it was Tiffany. Yeah. There was one thing that happened that would have made me think otherwise if I was him. When Evie came back from being away with Deshawn, Voce says, it's going to be Tiffany, right? And she's like, well, he asked her, what do you think we should do? And she said, well, we need to keep the tribe strong, right? And he said, yeah. And she's like, so we're thinking Tiffany, because they talked about Liana being strong in challenges. Well, there's only one person left, so why would Evie have to say
yes?
So it's Tiffany?
Well, Evie was gone, right? And so she might have just been reconfirming, because they talked about with Xander losing his vote, they would need Liana to vote with them so as to avoid a 2-2. So they might have just been, hey, I've been gone for the last few hours. Has anything changed in the last few hours? Did Liana come in here and get crazy? Dump the little bit of rice we got? Put out the little fire we got? Nothing happened? All right, cool. Tiffany, let's run with that. Because there was no more exposition after that, right? She didn't ask any more questions. He says, yeah. She's like, cool. And then she went back to doing whatever she was doing while she was sitting down. I would have never thought that was.
I get what you're saying, but because of how my mind thinks,
Okay.
I know that I would have been questioning, I don't think I like the way she just answered that question. And my wheels would have been spinning. So,
Denny, I think you're bang on. I noticed that as well. And there was another sign very similar to that where you have Voce sitting in the water with Liana, and he's pretty much on the edge of the water, whatever, on the beach. And they're talking about who needs to go. And Voce suggests, we got to keep the tribe strong. We can't survive another loss like that and keep going to tribal. It's got to be Tiffany. And Liana says something along the lines of, after a loss as bad as that, I'm very open to something like this. And that blew my mind when she said it that way, because that was honest. She was just being honest. But when you say after a challenge that bad, I'm open to anything. Well, what do you mean after a challenge that we lost that bad? Like what's changed? So before that, you wouldn't like it. To me, it looked obvious that Liana and Tiffany had something going when she says,
right,
after a loss like that, now I would consider going against Tiffany. But like that should just scream like Voce, there's an all women's thing going on right now. If it wasn't obvious,
I think he trusted Evie, and Evie was someone that really surprised me in the first episode. At first I thought reading before doing cast assessments, Evie's not going to go far. She doesn't like guys. That pretty much cuts the people she can work with in half. And then I saw her interacting with David and Xander, and I was like, she's doing it. She's in a great spot. They got rid of Abraham. All she had to do was get rid of Tiffany, and she still had the trust of every single person on her tribe, but she chose to leave someone on the out. So now they walked away from tribal council, and they're not even unified. They're a hot mess, and they're not even unified going into the next challenge. So more than likely, we'll be talking about another person from Yellow.
I hope Xander plays a shot in the dark, and he makes it another vote.
I don't think Xander was left in the dark as much as we think.
I think you're right.
I think the whole episode showed that, and I could be very wrong. There was literally one sentence that made me think, okay, he knew what was going on. It was the very, very end where they're all saying, that was rough or whatever, and he goes, "Yeah, I feel so bad."
Yeah.
Xander says that after the vote happened. He goes, "Yeah, I feel so bad." Not like what just happened or what the hell. It's, "Yeah, I feel so bad." Well, what do you feel bad about? Like, you should feel shocked. You should feel like you're betrayed, lied to. But what do you have to feel guilty about? And what he has to feel guilty about is not letting Voce know the vote's coming to him, so he wouldn't use his die. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And that's smart because I could see Evie using that. If anybody was to go to Xander, I could see Evie doing it and being like, "Listen, I fought for you to stay. Tiffany wanted you to go. The votes aren't going against you or Tiffany. The best I could do is get it on Voce and try to somehow suck Xander in even more." But we don't see a lot of this stuff, right? Because then it makes people look too powerful. But Evie is showing a lot of cards every episode. And
the fact that you want to keep Tiffany, who not only sucks at challenges, but is going off the rails.
It wasn't even supposed to be Dr. Death. It wasn't even supposed to be
Voce, who's level-headed. Yeah. I would never want to work with Tiffany. There's no way.
Especially
bad
early.
Move on Evie's part.
If I got to merge and Tiffany's there, cool. Let's run the rest of the game. It's an individual game. But there's no way that I am in a tribe phase trying to keep Tiffany. I don't want to go to tribal, bro. I just don't. And if I have Tiffany, she has now proven that we will be going to tribal.
Yes.
On the reg. Just go ahead and put my name on one of those log seats because that's mine. I'll be there. I just don't get it for Evie. And I'm not even a big Voce guy, right? It just didn't make sense because she was so bad in the challenge, especially after Liana came through afterwards and tried to get us back in this thing. We could have actually won this thing if we don't have Tiffany.
Yes. Liana was insane. That's one of the notes that I took when I was watching this episode was
comp beast.
I think underrated for sure. I didn't see Liana in the first episode like I did in the second. But we're mentioning the challenge here, and we talk about woulda, coulda, shouldas, and what could have changed somebody's game, and what are the small decisions that happen that could have changed the fate of the person we're talking about, which is Voce today. And one of them is why have Tiffany on that part of the challenge?
I know.
And if you play that through, okay, obviously they had a conversation and it happened. But if Tiffany was put on the puzzle instead with Evie, and that nobody would have failed as bad as they did in the physical portion of it, assuming Voce can do a balance beam, then if they were to fail, it would have been Evie with Tiffany, and Tiffany being the weak link with Evie failing. And if you're ever trying to build a divide between somebody, have them fail a challenge because you're on the puzzle together and they suck really bad at the puzzle, right? And that's, like I said, it's woulda, coulda, shouldas, but it's such a small change of just saying, okay, physical or puzzle part. And for somebody who's not physical, and being like,
I can't believe
go
they
do
put
the
her on that part.
Well, she said, you just like know in your heart. You played these games before. You know in your heart that she said, I feel more comfortable doing the balance beam, guys. And they're
I'd have been like, hell no.
No, there's no way you would have said no. You
Yes,
just had
I
to go,
would've.
okay. Because like in my mind, like I say okay, and I know that if this doesn't work, I'm sending her home. So if I'm Boche, if I'm Xander, why would I say no? Like, I don't think you should be doing it, but you just told me that you just told me you don't feel comfortable doing the puzzle, which is also bad. So sure, we'll give you the thing you feel comfortable with.
Do you think that this is going to be a bad look to the other tribes? Because if you're the other tribe, you clearly are like, okay, it's an all-girl alliance.
Yeah, there's a women's alliance. You already see it. You literally look over there and said, you took out Abraham first. You took out Boche next. Obviously, Xander's third. Because we were at the challenge. I saw how bad Tiffany was. I chuckled to myself. And I said, well, it was good knowing her. Then I show up at the next challenge and I say, she's still here. Man, they want to lose. They just want to lose.
Yeah.
So there must be a girls' alliance.
I think the blue tribe is going to be celebrating a lot when they come back in at the next challenge, because they already looked pretty stoked when the tribes came in last time and they saw who went home, because I think they were surprised on both of them.
Yeah. I think we're going to see crazy aftermath when it comes to the fact that Evie is getting really, really greedy. And every single person that they talk to, they try to manipulate in some way, and it's extremely aggressive. And what I'm saying about that is, okay, clearly an all women's alliance over here is happening. But now you go and tell Deshaun all this information when you guys are both on the what do you want to call it? The what do we call it?
The walkabout
summit.
The walkabout. Yeah, we'll call it the walkabout. So you got them on the walkabout, and really what Evie is saying is, hey, I'll sacrifice my chance so you can have this, and I'm telling you pretty much what to do in a polite manner, which nobody's going to pick up on at first. But then on top of that, I'm also going to tell you a whole bunch of information about people at my tribe that I want you to target, like the guys pretty much. And I'm going to just pretty much show you how much of a social and strategic player I am. And I'm going to say that your exact archetype is what I'm coming after by making this women's alliance. So it's like she's showing Deshaun she's intelligent, strategic, and coming after the guys. How do you think Deshaun is going to respond to that? Do you know what I mean? Like
if I'm Deshaun, I'm stoked.
No,
if I'm Deshaun, I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
Like if they
no,
like,
I'm stoked because I'm like, okay, cool. Because like, I'll tell you exactly why. If someone just said, hey, man, I've never met you, but Kev, let me tell you what my game looks like and what I'm thinking. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I trust you and I want to work with you from what I've seen you do in challenges, because that's all I got to go by.
There.
I'm like, all right, cool. I got an ace in my pocket, someone that's very smart and gifted and wants to work with me, because it's not like Deshaun can't sync her game, right? Like, I know everything you just did, right? You told me that Xander has an idol. He has an extra vote. You told me about all these things. I can sync you tomorrow, but I won't. That's trust. So I would be stoked to know that I have that person working for me elsewhere. So I thought that was a good move, personally.
I think it was a good move, but when the tribes come back together and he sees who's gone, well, she said it was probably going to be Xander.
Yeah.
She told him that.
Yeah.
But he's going to be smart enough to realize he might utilize her, if they make a merge together or they're on a swap together. But I think he's going to be a little wary of working with her now.
Yeah. I think
it depends on how he views himself, because if he views himself as an alpha male, he's probably not going to want to work with her at all, because it's clear that she doesn't want anything to do with that. Everyone, the two physically biggest people in the tribe are now gone. And then they're targeting their fastest, most agile player next. No, yeah. I'm so scared of that. That's my biggest fear if I play one of these games, is letting the old, slow, weak people get more numbers than they should have and come after me. I don't want anything about not unless I break my leg day one and I'm out there in a cast. Then I'm like, hey, let's get rid of Dennie.
Yeah. No, and I think what I'm seeing is Evie does the best they can in the moment with what is there, but not necessarily thinking about like putting all those pieces together. Like every conversation that we see with Evie like is nailed, like very strategic, a lot of information collected, not a lot of their own information given out, but how do those pieces go together? Like, for example, if Tiffany would have went home after that challenge, then there would have been nothing for Deshawn to even think about. Like that, it was an obvious vote. The alliance with Deshawn would have made total sense if they ever got swapped together. All that stuff would make total sense. But now it's just a thought. It's just that little seed in there. And that's a seed that was unnecessary, I think, at this point. But
so I sit here and I thought back, I leaned back in my chair and I thought to myself, and I said, I actually think Evie might have made a very good game move as I consider it, because you get rid of Xander next, right? We go back to tribal again. Obviously now Tiffany's the obvious vote because Evie and Liana are going to, like, there's no way Liana can like decide to stick with Tiffany over Evie, right? Because Evie's at least doing strategic things. They have Deshawn over there. They have they know they even if they don't really get rid of Xander next, they know that Xander can't vote. So that's like getting rid of Voce over Xander, though Tiffany didn't know it, made the most sense because Xander doesn't have a vote. So since Xander doesn't have a vote anyway, you might as well keep the guy without a vote, right? And that just makes sense math-wise.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in all honesty, if I'm Evie and Liana, I probably vote Tiffany next and then Xander, because I know when Xander is going to have the idol, because like they said, they read the note. Even though Tiffany was like, what if he has it? And they were like, I read the effing note. I know he doesn't. There's 2 other call and responses that have to happen. And then she was like, well, you don't know. No, I do though. I do though.
Well, I thought she would be smart enough to freaking get rid of Tiffany this time, but she didn't. So do I think she would get rid of her next time? No.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Denny, is that she is still very much in control. They are so in control of the tribe because they can decide which way it goes at either time. Because Liana's definitely going to stay with Evie. Xander has no choice but to stay with Evie because Xander's already told Evie everything, right? So he has no choice. So it's going to be their decision who goes next.
Yeah. I just think it was a terrible move. I think that keeping Tiffany was bad for Evie's game. I think, like Frank said, she set herself up really well in the first episode. And then this second one, I think she just tanked her game because she's showing too many of her cards. Like Xander said at Tribal, we have to act like maybe we're not going to go through a swap. This is a whole new Survivor, like Jeff said. So maybe there won't be a swap. We need to keep the tribe strong. She chose not to do that. If they do get swapped, I think she's shown everyone that she wants to work with the women. So if she gets on a tribe with mostly men, she is screwed. I just think that it was a bad move.
Yeah,
bad move.
Unless Evie can come out and say, it was Liana's plan. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. Like, because listen, Evie has surprised us pretty much every episode. So maybe there is a long-term, a long-term plan there, but I can't really find a reason to disagree. And the more that I watch, I mean, it's only been 2 episodes, but I'm starting to get that feeling that we might not swap. And Kevin, I think you suggested that last time, and I said, no, we're definitely swapping. It's got to be a swap, whatever. But how many times did we see in the edit? It's like 4 or 5 times now we've seen somebody say, we might not swap. We can't depend on a swap. We might not swap. It's not the same game anymore. And they keep putting it in there. it could be just to screw with us, right? Like it is. I mean, I'm talking about it, so it's working. But
I think that coupled with the fact that, they're doing these summits and the walkabouts, and they're letting you choose yourself or your own tribe to go on the walkabout. Yeah. I think they're utilizing that to create the cross swap bonds, the cross tribe bonds, right? So that way, when you get to a merge level, you don't have to be like, hey, let's be UA strong, UA 2.0 strong or anything like that. You're like, okay, I have Evie has a relationship with Deshaun, and JD and Danny have their own relationship along with Xander. And since I'm Xander and I trust Evie, I want to work with Deshaun because also Danny works with Deshaun. Like they're going to utilize those things as opposed to an arbitrary swap where everybody just ends up on whatever tribe that when Jeff says drop your buffs and then you have to like pull out new buffs. I think that's what it's going to end up. I think that's what I think is going to happen. And if that's the case, I think this is an even better move for Evie because Evie is in complete control of what happens at that tribe. They're going back to tribal. I want to make sure that's clear. They're going back to tribal. But Evie will decide who goes home next.
Or will she?
Yeah, no. Wait, you think they're going to turn on Evie?
No, listen, I think there's a wild card here, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. Liana right now, I think, is one of the characters I'm really, really interested to keep watching because there was a moment at the well where Tiffany was just wouldn't shut up about whatever paranoia she was talking about. And Liana literally went like for a second, like just stop and made it sound like, and was having enough of it. And I feel like Liana right now is trapped. I think she's trapped working in the All Women's Alliance. But if by, coincidence or crazy circumstance that Xander gets his vote back, he's got an extra vote too. Do you know what I mean? And Liana's free at that point. So, and right now Liana's being told what to do. Liana was told we're going to vote for Xander and then told we're going to vote for Voce to make Tiffany happy because Evie wants to make Tiffany happy so that Evie can work with Tiffany. But how's that helping Liana other than the fact that it's a women's alliance? And it's I think it
could go either way. They can in theory want to go Xander next. They don't have to think about it. Easy move. We've already committed to these three being an alliance. But when they lose again, and probably in an embarrassing fashion, and you're sitting there at Tribal, it's going to take some big lady balls to vote out Xander, I think, and not go with Tiffany when you're terrified of coming back. Because I think Jeff's going to try and keep us on our toes this season.
Yeah.
Every super fan can pretty much predict when they're going to swap, when they're going to merge. So I think they're going to try and change things up on us this year. It might get to the point where that tribe gets down to 2 people and they're like, okay, pick a tribe. You guys are getting split up. This tribe doesn't exist anymore. Kind of like the one season where the tribe got down to just Stephanie. I forget what season that was.
Yeah, that was Stephanie LaGrossa and Bobby John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a season like that where it's something we've never seen happen before, a whole new format.
Well,
we saw that happen with Stephanie and Bobby John, and then again happened and with Matt saying with Denise and Malcolm.
Yeah. Hey, I want to see it. I want to see them get freaking decimated now because I think they made 2 shitty decisions, 2 tribals in a row. Like, I'm ready for Evie to go. Like, I was pissed when I watched the episode last night and I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about it. And I'm like, why? I thought Evie was smarter than this. And that was a terrible game move. It was. So I am ready for her to go.
I don't know. That was a terrible game move. Evie's in control of the tribe.
I agree, Denny. I don't think they found the bleeding artery. They didn't find the bleeding artery.
If I want to know what you guys think here, because this will kind of either support or destroy where I'm going with this, is if you were to ask Liana right now, who is Evie closest to on the tribe?
Liana.
You think Liana thinks Evie is closest to her.
Yeah, because she got the information from Xander, came right to us, told us exactly what was going on with the thing, said to me, hey, we might want to think about voting Tiffany, but I'm down to work with the girls and get rid of Voce. Said the same thing about getting rid of Abraham. Liana would definitely think that Evie's closest to her.
Okay, and all three of you said that, which is funny because I was thinking that Liana would see it the other way because of how hard they're trying to keep Tiffany. And I feel like Evie was pushing that. But listen, that could be a misread by me. So if Liana does think Evie is closest, then yeah, I mean, Xander's probably screwed because Tiffany probably thinks that everybody loves her because they keep keeping her. So yeah, I mean, if Liana felt like Tiffany was closer to Evie than herself, then that would drive her to work with Xander for survival. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't want to go down to just the three women and feel like you're on the bottom. Right.
Well, I think the conversation that Liana and Evie have about Tiffany and maybe voting Tiffany would submit that obviously Liana's with me, because there's no way Evie and Tiffany are having a conversation about voting me out, right? If I'm Liana, I powered us back into this comp. They're not talking about maybe voting me instead of Xander or Voce. And so if I'm Liana and Evie's going through the scenarios of everyone with me, I assume that she's with me. Even though we did what we had to do to save Tiffany, I think they are with me.
And I hope they have the most physical freaking challenge next episode. And they're like, fuck.
I need you to lift 100 pounds over your head, and only you can pick 4 people. So good luck.
The challenge where they have to hold the basket with the coconuts thrown in by the other team.
Yeah.
Come on,
they
Jeff.
often do that with 4 people per team because 2 are holding baskets and 2 are choosing, or 3 are holding whatever.
Yeah.
It's not huge numbers usually when they do that challenge, right? So that could easily be it, and it would be freaking hilarious. That's what you get. You could have had Abraham there. You could have had Voce.
You could have had Voce.
You still have Xander.
No, Tiffany hold the thing.
Yeah.
We could see Green Tribe win in that scenario, because if Green and Yellow throw their coconuts in Blue and get them out, then they can easily get out the Yellow, and we got a Green victory. Brad's safe.
Yeah.
Do you think that we are going to continue to have 2 immunity idols?
No.
I think there's going to be another one where there's 2, and then there's going to be another one that there's 1, and then we're at merge. Right?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think they're going to keep everybody on their toes, right?
Mm-hmm. We're on day 5.
We're at 18, then we're down to 16, now we're down to 15. So then you go down to 14. I think there's if there's anyone, because we're at 15 right now, right? After last night's episode.
Yeah.
So then maybe the next one's 2, and then we go right to merge.
Woo.
That'd be wild.
Unless we merge at 12.
But see, that they could do it. They could do it differently though too, right? You could have 2 tribes lose and they both go to tribal together, but all vote for one person. So you could have those twists happen where you're not safe, you lose your flint, you don't get these advantages, and then once again,
I'm laughing because I'm there
because they've got no numbers.
Standing up and say, "How are you guys not voting Tiffany? How are we not even talking about Tiffany?"
What if they sent 2
I'm
tribes?
doing you a favor. I'm doing you a favor by getting rid of Tiffany.
What if we had 2 tribes go to tribal council, all together voting, but they all go to the summit first and can risk or protect their vote? How wild would that be?
There's no way.
Yeah, Frank.
There's not enough boats. They're not sending their regular boats out there to the summit.
Well, listen,
I think we're going to be seeing some wild things.
I am going to miss Voce, and I wish that he would have gotten started with a different tribe, because I loved his confessionals, and I'm going to miss those. And I actually wrote to him today on Instagram, and I was like, dude, I was rooting for you. I was so pissed when you went out last night. And he said, thanks for the support. I told him about this thing we're doing. He said they can't, do anything like this while the season's going on, but to reach back out to him afterwards, and he'd love to hop on with us.
Maybe we could talk to Voce, and then we could ask him why Evie screwed him.
I do think if you put him on another tribe, I think he goes much, much farther. I want to kind of talk about, we're running close to low on time. Sure. Some ways you really thought his game shined, maybe a way he had an opportunity to do better if he had the opportunity to play again, what he should probably tweak in his game.
I think the things he did well, I think he made good connections. If he decided to go with the girls, that's kind of like it. But other than that, I think Xander was a good connection. He was willing to be amenable and do the water with Xander. He made good friendships and good connections out there and worked really hard in challenges. So I thought that was all good things. The bad thing that he did was just trust Evie. That was kind of it. But I mean, he was a casualty of war because it was supposed to be Xander, and then Tiffany changed her mind. Yeah. I don't really know. Like, Tiffany doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, what you just said, Kevin, although we already said that he didn't try to build a friendship or bond with Tiffany whatsoever. because she was a loose cannon. You hear Liana say, I'm afraid that Tiffany's going to screw this up somehow. If he would have talked to her, maybe that would have happened. So I do think that was kind of a mistake of his, just not even going to her at all, because she could have let the cat out of the bag. Obviously, he was great at challenges. That was his shtick, I feel like. I feel like he just needed to listen better because, like I already said, I think if he would have, when Evie came back from that thing with Deshaun, I know that if it was me, I would have been questioning that and I would have wondered. So then I would have done a little digging, and then I would have talked to Tiffany just to see what was up. So I think he needed to, not be so confident. Always be thinking in the back of your mind, like, what else could be going on that I'm not aware of?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if there was ever an example of a player who, exemplifies the advice that you see Jeff give every once in a while, which is play like it's your second time, make the move, pull the trigger, get your hands dirty. And obviously Jeff wants to say stuff like that because it's entertaining when you see people go out and play it crazy hard and risky. But I feel like Voce is the type of person that, like, his analytical brain looks like somebody who could go out there and weave a yarn that would trick everybody. And I feel like he could lie to people and be believable. I feel like there's a lot of tricks up his sleeve that he wanted to do and I wanted to see him do, but he said, okay, I'm going to do the Tony Winners at War style. I'm going to wait for a couple votes, sit back a little bit. They'll just see me as the guy that works hard in the challenges and around camp, and I won't be strategizing. And then when it starts to pick up, I'll start getting really devious. But unfortunately, didn't get the chance. But yeah, great example of, when you get out there and you have your chance, make those alliances, even if they're fake, and make those connections. But no, I enjoyed watching him, and I'm going to miss the him being a narrator. I think I mentioned that. And that's the first thing I think about.
Yeah. I thought he did really well pacing himself. You see a lot of people like Ricard and JD who came out a little too aggressive, a little too fast. And Dr. Death really impressed me because he was able to pace himself. I do think his downfall was he didn't do good at picking his allies. I think he trusted the wrong people. I myself have done the same thing in a game, and sometimes you just put your stock because you have to put your stock somewhere in the game. You have to.
The alternative is trusting Tiffany. Like, that's the alternative we're talking about here.
Well, he could have not paced himself and stood up for Abraham and tried to not have the tribe go in that vote out strong people. Because if you're the second biggest guy on the tribe, you have to be scared of that mindset of they're voting out bigger people. I'm the next biggest.
Yeah.
Because even if it's not you next, it's still you are squaring up against the biggest guy on the other tribe. You are now got to be stronger than you were before that vote.
It's so crazy though, because this flies in the rules of David Bloomberg's rules of like why you got voted off on Survivor. And he says one of the rules is you vote out the weak, then the strong, then the weak, then the strong. Tiffany is still here. She is the weak.
The cockroach. We can't kill her.
Now, Denny, I'm glad you reached out. I hope Voce can make it on and give us his angle on this, because I'd love to hear what his game plan was going in, legit, not just what we see in the media a little bit in the pressers and whatnot, but what his thought process was and why he felt so comfortable and didn't approach Tiffany.
I want to know what his plans were next. Like, that's what I want to know, is what was he seeing later in the game, that because he wasn't playing really aggressive. I want to know what his thought process was and when he felt to actually turn that switch.
Yeah, I hope that he will join us after the show's over, because I have a lot of questions for him too, and I'm sad. I know he's sad. Everything that I've read about him said that he only had 5 days out there. He's hoping for a game changer spot. Don't know that you can get a game changer spot off only 5 days in the game, but I think that there was some potential for him. He got stuck on a shit tribe, and then he made a shit decision going along with the Abraham vote. And
he got stuck with Tiffany. Like, what are you gonna do?
Stuck with Tiffany.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, and it might be because he's a doctor. He waits for people to come to him when they need something, but he needs to go out and hustle a little harder if he does get that opportunity next time. I don't think it'll be game changers. Maybe a second chances.
Yeah.
Oh, second chances, not game changers. My bad.
He will not be on second chances.
At least you're not messing up his name.
All right. I want to do that. Voce, that's cool. That's a cool name.
So, who are we going to see next week? I'm pretty sure we're all picking somebody from the yellow, but this time we'll pick someone from the yellow and then one person from another tribe in case 2 get sent.
Xander or Ricard?
Wow, you're doubling down on Ricard, man.
JK on Ricard. Brad. We're seeing Brad. Brad's coming to me. JK on Ricard. It's going to be Brad. We're going to do Xander and Brad. For sure.
I'm going Tiffany and Brad.
Man, that's freaking tough. That's tough. God dang. You can't. Oh, I wish I would have thought about this more beforehand. You know what? I'm going to say Liana.
What? How are you getting into this with you, Robbie? Liana and who?
What's that?
Liana and who?
Just Liana. I think 2 tribes go, 1 vote, and she goes.
Oh no! If they don't go, who do you have?
Oh, Brad. Yeah, if I had to pick another one. Sorry, the second one's easy. The second one's easy.
He said, Brad, easy.
Yeah.
What about you, Frank?
I think that yellow is going to get to tribal. I think they're going to want to be girls strong, but I don't think they're going to have what it takes to pull that trigger. And I think Tiffany will go home. If it's 2 people coming to tribal, blue just looks so dominant right now that I feel they're going to go back to tribal. Green is, and Jeannie's going to be going home. Because she's just not even. It doesn't look like she's participating in the game.
Is it possible we might get a Jeannie and Tiffany double boot episode?
That would be amazing.
Is it messed up that I want a Tiffany, Jeannie, Holly triple boot episode?
Heather,
Heather, Holly. I don't even know her name. That's all it is. I don't know your name.
Heather.
I don't care about you.
Did anyone see the meme from the mom from American Pie?
Yes.
Stifler's mom? Did anybody see that meme?
Yeah.
She looks like her. She does a little bit.
Gold. All right. Thank you guys for watching tonight. I know we got a little off the tracks, but there's just so much Survivor to talk about. We're going to be here every week at 8.
Mind if I shout out my show?
Yes, I'm going to give everyone gets a plug. I'm not going to skip you guys this week. You guys, whatever you want to plug, go ahead, plug it.
So I host a top 5 podcast called Top 5 Go, where we do top 5 things we've done, top 5 bears, top 5 desserts, top 5 cereals. Check it out. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Top 5 Go.
Anybody else got anything coming up?
Yeah,
So
I'll be here next Thursday, same time. And, I'll be watching Kevin apologize for all the shade thrown at my takes, and that's a guaranteed time, same time next week. So I'll be right here.
all right, if you're not getting enough Survivor Fix, I help in producing online Survivor games with Survivor Game Show Network, and we just had a new episode of a new season air tonight. So go check out Survivor Game Show Network on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, and if you guys are looking to play a live game, Surviving Reelfoot is an 8-day Survivor experience. You can apply yourself. Casting auditions for that are wrapping up. So I believe tonight is the last night you can apply to get in for an audition. So do it. It's life-changing. It's a blast, and you'll see me on production next year. And then the 8th, stay tuned to Aunt Jackie's Mayhem Manor. 46 players I'm going to be in a house with one of our own, DeLucas. He's going to be there as well. 46 players. It's going to be a shit show, a lot of drama. There's going to be some MTV and CBS celebrities that I'm competing against. So a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. And then coming up right after this, which we're a little late, is the recap that we're doing with Aaron, Meredith, Kylie, and Stan from last week. So look forward to that. Hopefully I see you guys there, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya.